Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our channel and taking the time to look at what we have to say. I have to warn you up front, this is not going to be a channel for anti-hunters. We train hunting dogs. There will be explicit photographs, video, scenes that might not agree with everyone. There will or probably will be some foul language somewhere along the line. It is an emotional subject, dogs. And if you're passionate about dogs, then yes, things will go wrong. We are going to focus on HPRs as a breed. No specific HPR breed that I have in mind. We breed short hairs. Very passionate about breeding our short hairs and training them. Today's session or video, we are going to focus on how to select a puppy, and that starts with selecting the breeder. Now, as a breeder myself, we have many people on the waiting list for puppies from us, and the most difficult task is to match the person with the puppy. It is sleepless nights, and honestly, we would love to give everyone the opportunity to own one of our dogs, but it is simply not possible. My first concern, and it will always be my first concern, is the physical, the mental well-being of the puppy, and somebody that can train the dog to showcase its full capacity or to use its full capacity, because you don't have to showcase a dog to know that a dog is good. I have bred dogs that are or have never been tested or evaluated simply because I believed in the dog, and the results have been spectacular. But let's not diverse or get offline or sidetrack. Selecting a breeder or selecting a puppy from a breeder, you need experience. You need to physically go and watch field trials. You need to get involved in a club or association, and you need to go and see what type of dog you like or which breed of HPR you like. If you've made up your mind about a specific breed, then it's time to go and select a breeder. Now, the pitfalls are many. There are breeders who breed dogs to suit their style of training and to put trophies and awards on their walls, and then there are breeders who breed dogs to put awards and trophies on the handler's walls or the owner's walls. All the accolades will go to the owner, the trainer, the handler, not to the breeder. There is a specific tool you can use for those dogs that are participating in field trials or handlers who enjoy participating in field trials. Unfortunately, field trials are not the say-all and do-all of breeding dogs. These are hunting dogs. Field trials, and the ultimate goal of having a field trial champion, is a minimum requirement. There are a set of rules, guidelines, procedures which the dog has to comply to during a field trial. If the dog does that and he can repeat that, or she can repeat that, the dog becomes a field trial champion, and that is a minimum criteria. I've seen dogs become field trial champions at the age of 19 months old, and I've seen dogs struggle to become field trial champions at the age of 5 years, 6 years old, after many, many trials, field trials or evaluations. So the field trial results can be used as a type of evaluation to see what type of puppy you would like, and you really need to drill down into field trial results. Personally, I don't like dogs that run on the same fields, and I mean literally the same fields. If you look at the field trial results from the dog, it is only ever run on a specific field, in a specific area where it knows where the birds are, where it knows exactly how the wind is going to blow, which corner to take, which side of the field. To me, that's a conditioned dog. That is not a true working, hunting dog. The dog is conditioned to work in a particular field in a particular way. And the same goes for dogs that have never had birds shot for them on a field trial. It is in their genetics to find game, point game, and hold game. But it is a hereditary trait for a dog to present a bird to the gun. And for a dog to present a bird to a gun, it means the dog is experienced. It has had the exposure, it has had the time, it has hunted. Very often field trial dogs, or pure field trial dogs, 100% field trial dogs, haven't got that experience. They simply cannot present a bird to the gun. Or the dog has not got the mental capacity to handle the bird in such a way that it can be shot. And it is exactly the mental capacity that a new or novice handler needs to focus on when it selects a puppy. Because the mental capacity of the dog is going to dictate how much time you are willing to put in with a dog, how much effort you are willing to put into the dog. Nobody is inspired by a dog that you cannot train. Nobody is inspired by a dog that makes the same mistakes over and over again, irrespective if it's a novice handler or an experienced trainer. If you have a dog that simply cannot control itself mentally, that continues to go after hare or game, or doesn't point the bird, flushes the bird and goes after like a maniac, nobody enjoys working with a dog like that. I am fortunate. I have trained other dogs, quite a few of them. I have maybe come across 3 or 4 dogs that have or lack the mental capacity to be trained, or the mental capacity to work with the handler. I like to call it biddability. If a dog has no biddability, it is impossible to work with a dog, unless you use extreme averse methods. And by extreme averse methods, I'm talking about e-collars, choke collars, to condition the dog for a specific response. E-collars have been banned since 2003 in Sweden. They are not legal to use here or in Denmark. So we have, on average, pretty biddable dogs, but there are still outliers. There are still kennels, breeding dogs that only they can train. That it is almost impossible for the novice handler to get the dog to perform at a level that is acceptable. And my reasoning has always been that buy or get a biddable dog. Because irrespective of what happens, if I get injured tomorrow, I need a dog that is biddable enough for my wife, my daughter, or somebody else to take care of if I am incapacitated. If I need to go away for extended periods of time, I cannot have dogs that are out of control at home. I want a dog that has a clear on-off button, a dog that is calm in the house, calm in whatever environment I am able to take them in. And I always say a leash is a constraint. I have a leash on a dog so other people feel comfortable and other dogs feel comfortable. I don't have a leash on a dog for me to have control over the dog. We will cover that topic in another video or another discussion. So to get back to analyzing field trial results. Not all field trial results are created equal. You will have a spectrum of field trial champions, dogs with the minimum requirement and dogs that far exceed the minimum requirement. That is not going to be reflected in a field trial analysis. You can forget that. So you need to drill down and analyze the field trial test or judgment or assessment that the judge as given on the dog. I always say, you can look at a dog that has pointed 3 or 4 birds on a specific field trial and has handled the birds in a specific way that is acceptable. It has not bumped any birds, it has not flushed any birds, and it has not missed any birds. A dog is allowed to make mistakes on these field trials. So another dog might have bumped 2 birds, it might have pointed empty on 2 other occasions and still achieve a first prize and perform within the acceptable level of becoming a field trial champion. And right there is the problem. Field trial champions are not always the best and most biddable dogs to work with. They may be for a specific handler, but they are not for everyone. Choose a dog that is enough dog for you. Don't go and choose a dog that you think you can handle or you think you can manage, fully understanding and knowing that it's way too much dog. I had a discussion with a gentleman that has been training dogs for many, many years. And he liked strong, powerful, and if I say strong, I mean headstrong dogs that are not biddable. But if you have a look at the results he achieved, they are inconsistent. The dog performed well and then had a drop-off. Performed well and then had a drop-off. Performed well for 2 trials and then dropped off for 3 trials. And at the age of 5 years, the dog stopped competing in field trials because it could not conform to the standard anymore. That is a headstrong dog. To me, a dog with genetic longevity, a dog that performs very well from an early age over an extended period of time, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and maintains the same level of performance. Now, that is a dog with mental stability. That is a dog that is biddable, trainable, and workable. My concern as a breeder, as I said, will always be for the mental, physical well-being of the dog, puppy, and of course, somebody to extract maximum potential from the dog. So I breed pretty biddable dogs. I am not going to breeder bash others. I'm not going to pinpoint another breeder or say these guys are good, these guys are bad. That is for everyone to make up their own decision. That is everyone's own personal choice who you buy from. But don't put your name on a list because you like the breeder, personally. Don't put your name on a list if you know the dogs that are being bred are going to be too hard for you to handle. 80 to 90% of the time, that dog is going to be at home amongst the family. It is 10% of the time the dog is going to be working or hunting or whatever the case might be. Multi-skilled dogs are special. Our HPR breeds are special. There are very, very few dogs that need as much training as they do. There are very, very few dogs that need the same level of activity or activation as they do. I am out every day with my dogs, every single day. The dogs love working, and I enjoy watching the dogs work. But I also know that a dog that doesn't work becomes frustrated. The mental stability or biddability in the dog is going to dictate the amount of time the dog can be in an environment that is not a hunting environment, in the family environment or social environment, without losing control. Biddability will always be what I look at in a dog. You can see it in generations of dogs, just as you can see aggression in certain generations of dogs, just as you can see specific genetic traits in several generations of dogs. So there is something to line breeding, but I do not believe in just line breeding. New blood is always a good thing. You have your name on the list with a breeder and the puppies are born. Week 4, as always the same, people start phoning, we want to come look at the puppies, and we want to pick a puppy, etc., etc. If you're lucky enough and the breeder says it's all fine, you can come and look at them. Don't expect to come and look at my puppies until they are 6 to 7 weeks old. As I said before, my concern is for the dog, the puppy. My concern is their physical, mental well-being. And in that physical and mental well-being, you must understand that a puppy can get sick from anyone that brings anything into my kennel. So I don't want a train of people coming into my kennel and they have other dogs and they've been in the chicken coop and they've been wherever the case might be. The possibility of them carrying a disease into my kennel or into where the puppies are is great. I went to a breeder when I intended to purchase my first HPR here in Sweden, and looked at the facilities, looked at the puppies, and out comes the breeder's son, picks up one of the puppies, carries it around a bit, and then drops it. I turned and walked away because they are not concerned about the physical well-being of the puppy. And I come across as an arsehole because I'm pretty strict as far as that's concerned. I do not want a train of traffic when I have puppies. I am more than happy that you come and visit and have a look at the puppies, but keep your distance. You can have a look at them and see how they interact with their mother, how they interact with each other at the age of 6 weeks old, and then you can return and have a look at them at 7 weeks, and you can return and have a look at them at 8 and 9 and 10 weeks, if there are any left. We tend to let them go at around 8.5 weeks old. Then we have pretty much made up our mind who gets them. But what I am saying is, a breeder that is serious about the health of the puppies he has does not unnecessarily expose them to risks. To me, if you're going to have a bitch from the litter, have a look at all the bitches. Leave the males alone. They are not your concern. They are not your property. They are potentially somebody else's dog, and they would not like you to handle them, which I can fully understand. And as a breeder, that is my responsibility. And if I come across as an arsehole, or if I come across as too strict or not approachable, then it's unfortunate. Then I'm probably not the right breeder to buy from. And it's not just me. There are many, many other breeders who feel exactly the same way. Those who let you have a look at the puppies at 4 weeks old, go into the puppy den and pick them up. And you must understand that they're doing that with everybody else as well. And that is not something that I can condone. In closing, I say again, pick your breeder carefully. Do your research. Go and look at field trials. Go and look at people working dogs, and not just field trials. Make no mistake, there is a great divide between hunting dogs and field trial dogs. A lot of people say, no, my dog hunts better than 90% of the field trial dogs, and 90% of the field trial dogs. People say that my dogs work better than the hunting dogs. It's not true. If you have the dog, you can do both. I hunt to a field trial standard. My dogs hunt to a field trial standard. When I take them on a shoot, and it's a paid shoot, they work exactly the same way on a paid shoot as they do when I work them on a field trial. That is an acceptable standard of what the dog works to. Many people don't have the time or the socioeconomic ability to do that, and that is fully understandable. I hope you guys will join us for our next video session. We will cover the tools of the trade, what we use once we start training the dogs, and I have some particular views on that I think a lot of people might enjoy and a lot of people may not enjoy. There is particular ways I like to train a dog. At the moment there is a war on Facebook and social media about aversive and non-aversive training methods. I'm not going to discuss that right now, and I think people going head to head in public about which way you train a dog, it loses focus and draws the attention from what really matters, and that is the dogs. To me, that is always going to be the most important thing, is the dog. Am I getting the best out of the dog? Am I selecting the right owner with the right dog? Am I giving the dog the right exposure? It is all about the dog. How we get to the final result, and if we use different methods to get to the final results, are irrespective to me. It really, really doesn't matter. I don't like seeing dogs exposed to too much aversive. Aversive has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. I use a combination of methods, but like I said, we'll get into detail at a later stage. Thank you for joining us. Hope you found it useful.